still not sure what day of the week it is. I'm still not sure what date it is. But what I am sure of, it's another 3 points on the board, and the unbeaten streak goes on. 13-0 for the mighty Cambridge United. And hello, a very warm welcome to Under the Abbey Stand. This is Goochmas Part 2. My name is Jordan Warland. Joining me today, a man who finally got to see an away win since Huddersfield away. Goes to lots of aways. It's your pal and mine, Matt Caspel. How you doing, mate?
Hello, mate. Yeah, I feel pretty good. We worked this out. I did the numbers on it. So before the Chesterfield game, whatever day of the week that was, we had won. I think we've won 4 away league games in the last 3 seasons. So it's nice and neat. And then we won 2, obviously, up to this point this season. So 14 in total, of which I had witnessed 6. That might seem like quite a lot to you guys, but also I think I've been to about 90% of them. So the quite special to have managed to miss more than half the wins. Obviously, we've redeemed that up at Chesterfield. I'm basically 50% now on my aways. I
love the fact that you've got to go home and explain to your lovely daughter that you've gone away again and yet no win. But yeah, not this morning. You could tell her about a big 3 points, a 1-0 victory. You can tell her about the fact that you saw the goal and you weren't missing in action. But yeah, it was important to mention that you go to a lot of away games, because I didn't want to I didn't want to do you dirty there. You go to far more than me. I go to barely any. In fact, I've been to 1 this season, Matt, and it was Colchester away. So I'm a lucky guy.
Well, there you go. That's it. Stop now.
Yeah.
Or maybe not. We've sorted our away form out now, so maybe it's all sorted and we can go to all the away games and see so many away wins now. Who knows?
2026, the year of the away win, perhaps. Who knows? Are there any exciting aways coming up?
Harrogate. We've got beef for Harrogate. Fleetwood. Fleetwood. Oldham at the end of Jan.
Yep.
We've got to go
Crew.
to Bromley.
Crew on the last
Crew.
game of the season. That's going to be a biggie.
That's great
for the trophy lift.
Well, yeah. I drove.
Remember, you get a trophy for second and third, so it's valid.
That's right. Yeah. I forgot about that. I drove with Tom Dobbin up to the game, and his 6-year-old lad has become United obsessed this season, which is great. He really wants to come to an away game, and when Dobbin told him he was going to Chesterfield, but that his boy wasn't able to come, he had a complete meltdown. So as a trade-off, the kid has gone and chosen. It was like choosing away games. Like, well, what about this one? What about this one? And he'd asked a friend of the pod, Dobbin, like, can I come to Crewe last day of the season? And Dobbin was like, if there's anything on that game, you are not coming. Basically. So,
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, so you'll know how to feel about that game. If friend of the pod, Tom Dobbin, is there with his boy, then we've met. Well, either we've secured a playoff berth, or we've won the league already, and it's just a celebration.
Cambridge United, mate.
Rubber.
Cambridge United brings the best out of the dads and the parenting.
Yeah.
Right. An away win to talk about, Casper. You've been gearing up for this for months and months.
Yeah.
But not just any old win. So I don't know. You might have to temper my expectations here a little bit. But sometimes I feel you have a win which feels a bit more than a win. It feels bigger. Grimsby away is the first one that I think of when we got promoted out of the conference. Newport away in the lockdown legends year. I'm getting like a big win vibe from Monday night. Am I right to be thinking this, Matt Caspel, or am I simply getting carried away?
I think it's reasonable to be there. I mean, we're halfway through the season, right? That was the 23rd game. I think a lot of the questions that we had about the side and the squad in the first few months of the season, we're sort of ticking them off. We're sort of starting to dispel a lot of that stuff. We've evolved as a team really well. And, we're starting to get a lot of these monkeys off our back. So it's like, away form, home form is great, but away form is a bit of a problem. How do we remedy that? And it feels like we're starting to really work out that blueprint ever since that Barrow game. Obviously, still laugh at that. You and I did the preview for Barrow. This is after CUFC got injured. And I was doomsdaying it hard. I thought we were in really big trouble.
It's another preview pod. We've got another hamstring injury, so Got some.
That's true.
Got some chance later on for you to throw in some doom and gloom if you like.
More doom and gloom. I can. Obviously, I'll have to. Because if I get too
flounce hard, it's
well,
Swindle's birthday. It's what he wants you to do.
That's it. If I get too upbeat, then I might reverse our fortunes and we start losing a load of games. But no, with it, I mean, whether or not that's a statement win is a bit of a cop out in a way. But whether or not that's a statement win, I think we really need to see what happens in these next two league games. It's almost hard to tell in real time. As the season is evolving, is this a statement win, yes or no? I just think when you look at that set of fixtures we had in December, some extremely tough games where, we all acknowledged as well. I mean, all jokes aside about my sort of doomsday pre-Barrow outlook, after Kouassi got injured, there was a real feeling that we were very short on personnel, particularly striking department. How are we going to, what are we actually going to do? Like to be fair to us, maybe we said on that pod, if we're going to, the upside of this situation with our lack of available strikers in particular is that we're going to have to try something new that is going to create opportunities for the likes of Hoddle, McConnell, Knight. I think we kind of seen all of that. So people have been given really good opportunities and they've stepped up to the plate, and we've got a real good increase now, I think, in the amount of competition in this side, to the point that it's absolutely not a shoo-in that Michael Morrison will walk back into this team. Nowhere near a shoo-in that Don Ball will walk back into this team. No one really is like assured, I would say, of a guaranteed start. And I was just so impressed with some of the players last night, in particular. Like I think, Gibbons is probably the best example of this. I thought he was absolutely outstanding last night, and
not just last night. The last few weeks, he's played various positions. Left back at times against Chesterfield, centre back in a back three. The last few games, he's been really impressive.
Yeah, I just super. I mean, we'll get into match action and call out a few more performances as well, because there's plenty of praise to go around. But I think Gibbons is a really good example of someone who fell out of favour slightly, has had to be patient, wait for his opportunity. The opportunity he's got at the moment probably isn't even necessarily the opportunity he directly wants. He's playing at left back, which is, not his position. But he just put in such a just an assured and really high character performance last night. It really sort of, I think, typifies really where we are as a squad. So I think it's reasonable to get carried away. Also, I mean, this is the fun of being a fan and on the pod, right? Is that we get to get carried away in both directions, frankly. So if you go on a bad run, a bit like myself before the Barrow game, you can feel a little bit gloomy. If you're going away and winning games that, Chesterfield had only lost one other home game this season, then yeah, I think it's fair enough to start getting carried away. They come at you so quick this time of year is the thing. So already we're reviewing one game and we're looking ahead already to a very big game against Walsall. So whether or not that is a statement, I think we've got to wait and see where we are on Monday next week, which is, back to normality in terms of calendar, 5th of Jan, after the Grimsby game. Have we taken, 4 or dare I say even 6 points in those two games? And if we've taken 6, then yeah, we're hitting January with a huge amount of momentum.
Well, it's like Neil Harris said post game. This is the time of year where it makes you or you falter. I just think back to last Christmas, Caspel, Charlton away, Leyton Orient away.
So bad.
What a couple of days that was. You said statement result a couple of times there. I think you've said that on purpose because that was a quote from our man Chopper. Do you see why he was saying it was a statement result, and what do you think the Chesterfield win might be indicating to the rest of the league? Like, what do you think it's sort of saying about us?
Yeah, I think people they'll be talking about us now. I mean, they really will have to, even though we're not in that playoff spot. I just think there's a growing sense, at least from my side, that everything is starting to come together. So I think where Harris is coming from is, it's kind of what we're touching on there. After 2 months of the season, there were a lot of unanswered questions about this team. It was very much like, well, we're not creating any chances. How do we create chances? Where are the goals going to come from? Have we got the recruitment right? Are they all going to stay fit? I mean, was the question then. Obviously, we've had a pretty resounding answer to that one now. Other stuff, again, it was like home form is great, but away form is not good enough to sustain probably even a playoff challenge. We were below a point a game I think, for the first couple of months of the season. We're now like, only just to be fair, we're ahead of a point a game away from home. And the home form itself has continued to perform. The other thing that was kind of hanging around was like lack, I guess, of home like statement win. I'm still not sure we've necessarily had a game that you would like point at directly and go, that is a real statement home win. But seeing as we're halfway through the season, I'm not sure that matters, because like, do we actually need one, or are we just going to keep our home form rocking and rolling? Like, we beat Bromley.
New Year's Day is a good chance to.
It would be a
get
good time. It would be a good time. I mean, we beat Bromley at home, and Bromley. Top of the pile. So it didn't feel like a statement at the time, but maybe that's an example of a result that is aging very well, and kind of proves our credentials as well. So I think Harris is fair. Also, I mean, to be honest, timing of this is great. You want to be this buoyant heading into a transfer window, definitely. I think it puts us in a stronger position. We're obviously going to cover transfer window in a separate pod coming soon, once we figured out what the hell days of the weeks are. But look, Matt, it's just really pleasing. I was just generally really chuffed with it, even just as a fan going to the game under the lights, long journey, great away turnout, 700 United fans packed into that corner, just a huge amount of fun. The other thing I was saying to Jules was just, it's just changed so much. Like, this is a genuinely entertaining football match, gone from being one of the most boring things to watch at the start of the season, frankly, just like really tepid. Just even the wins were laboured and not high energy, high tempo. And all of a sudden, over the last sort of 6-8 weeks, just found this whole new blueprint to play pretty expansive, high tempo, entertaining and effective football. So much so that even at Gillingham, I was like, well, we need to slow this game down. Like, we're too expansive now. Do you know what I mean? It was like, we've taken it too far the other way. Like, how do we go a bit more Harris? Is like, even last night people were saying it around me, like, we need to be a bit more Harris here.
I think we might see that on New Year's Day when we come up against Walsall, who don't like to have a lot of possession or don't like to have the ball. So, but we'll come on to that a little bit later. I went into Monday night's game quite apprehensive. I thought the streak was going to end. I had a feeling we might lose, and that would have put us like 6 points off Chesterfield, and I haven't checked the results last night. It wouldn't have been as bad as 6 points off the top 7. Potentially, it could have been. Like, I was quite sort of worried and sort of down on what last night could have ended up being, and it's actually gone the complete opposite. You know, like you say, we're not in the playoffs currently, although we have the same amount of points. But now you look at it and you think, God, you know, back-to-back wins, which obviously is a big ask, but do that and you could potentially find yourself in the top 3 at the start of the year, which is such an indication, such like a great time to hit form. Like you say, the transfer window opens. Starting to feel a little bit bullish, Matt. So before we talk about match action, I just want to check your bullishness rating. How are you feeling?
Well, I've got to be careful, right?
Don't go too positive.
Well, not that we're superstitious, but obviously I went on that pre-Barrow pod and pretty much condemned us. I was like, we're going to be dumped out of both the cups. We could be like 18th by the end of this run of games. That run of games being into the end of Grimsby. Is it possible we can still be 18th? That's a crazy thing about League Two. If we lose both the games, it could happen, I suppose.
Yeah, let's say that.
Well, I'll be there. Like, I told you so. No, it's not like that. I feel pretty bullish, mostly because everything we were speaking about before, I just feel like we've said everything we need to say about the recruitment. I don't think it was perfect, but we have recruited some very good players during summer. And I just think we're passing every week, every game that comes on, we're just passing 1 or 2 more tests every single time as each game comes around. We've just gone through, we went through November, we nearly made through November without conceding a goal, which would have been quite something. That's taken us into what was a very difficult December, like on paper and in reality, like MK away, Gillingham away, Chesterfield away. You're looking at that and you're thinking this is like tough. And FA Cup, Stockport away. No, we didn't win the game, but we earned the right to win the penalty shootout. and we've passed like that whole test with flying colours to the point that the criticisms you're levelling now, and when we talk about match action with Chesterfield, are going to be like, there was a 2-minute spell where we lost control of the football match, and then we dominated like 88 of the other minutes of the game. Same at Gillingham, like the criticism is like, oh, well, we went 1-0 up against, a tough place to go, and we just didn't have the cutting edge to see it over the line. These are the styles of complaint that a playoff or even necessarily like an automatic promotion team have the right to have, like leaving places like Gillingham with a point and feeling like you deserved more, is to me like a really good indicator. So we just got to keep that home form going. These next 2 games, they just feel big. They just feel really important before that FA Cup game, which is not a free hit, but a bit of fun maybe, and a bit of rotate. Well, we'll rotate a bit for that game, even though obviously Birmingham will as well, which is a bit of a shame for FA Cup, but there'll be a bit of a change around, I'm sure. And then after that, in terms of bullishness, we've just got this very presentable run of fixtures in January, February. So it's like Fleetwood away, Tranmere at home, Shrewsbury at home, Oldham away, Harrogate away. Still gives me nightmares, that one. Crawley away, Bristol Rovers at home, Collier at home, Newport away. Like, it's a massive run of games where you're looking at it, you're thinking that is quite a soft stretch of games. And if we are going to finish in the top 3, let's say, let's get really bullish, then you would hope and expect to come through that run of games with a really positive points return that will push us into you're almost in the run-in at that point. And sure, during the run-in, because of that run of fixtures, we've obviously got then go and play Walsall again, Bromley at some point away. We're going to play a lot of the sort of higher contending teams. But if we hit sort of 32 games mark, 32 games, and we've come through that patch really well, we'll be in a very, very strong position, particularly if we recruit well in January. So, yeah, I think there's no reason not to be bullish, in my opinion. We've just withstood so many injuries as well. We've just had so many injuries to so many critical players, and they've just, fair play to Harris and the people around Harris, they've found ways to set us up, and it's forced creativity on us, not just in a playing sense, but just creative thinking. And we've just overcome every challenge that we've faced so far this season. So I just really believe we're going to keep
that bullish barometer is off the charts, mate.
It's gone high, basically. So you know what happens now. I can't do anything right. Watch us lose both these home games now, and I'll just be in a pit of despair on whatever pod I return to.
Well, we didn't lose on Monday night. Let's talk about some of the match action then. I find it interesting that you said you thought we dominated for sort of 80, 88 minutes, I think you said. I actually thought first half we started brighter, but then maybe after sort of like the first 10 minutes or so became more even. Maybe Chesterfield were a little bit on top more, and actually with that kind of sort of brought the game to life with like 2 of their best moments. So they hit the crossbar, and then Matey, I forget his name, missed a glorious open goal. How were those? Crazy, yeah. How did those chances go down in the away end? Because obviously you guys would have been right near it out that
we
end.
Were right there. Oh, you're forgetting also about Gibbons' like attempt to score an own goal as well.
Well, yeah.
Which was pretty hair raising. I mean, 2 points there, I guess. When I say dominated for 88 minutes, I think you're right. Fair enough. Maybe
I think we dominated second half. We'll get onto that. I think second half really nullified them.
The thing is, I just think all of it is context. So when you consider we were the away team against a team who only lost once at home all season, who were on really good form, so they still have 10 points in the last 5 games. They're on very good form coming into that game. Obviously, including sweating a point out of us. I think they won every game in between. They did, yeah,
and some big teams there. Barnet, Notts County, they beat.
Yeah, so they beat everyone apart from us, and then they played us again. They lost to us, and they should have lost to us the last time at home as well. So they were on good form. So I think a lot of that is just about context. When you look at their XG, they basically have none apart from that mad spell, and then in the second half, the only bit of the highlights that they got on the not extended highlights, obviously a superb 10-minute extended highlights package on CUFC TV.
Go get it.
Go get it. Just plug that.
Eat its capacity as you do it.
eat as
Available,
capacity because
available. Number one, Ferry Path.
that's it. You can eat as capacity in 10 minutes and then subscribe to the coconut tier. Um, what was my point? The only highlight they had in the second half in the short version of the highlights was their centre back, the guy who scored the equaliser at the Abbey, blasting one over the bar from 30 yards out. And I think
that was like 85th minute as well, wasn't it? It's quite late.
Yeah, I mean, when I say dominate, I think what I'm talking about is more we were in control, a bit like when we went to Salford and they had no shots on target, apart from that crazy little moment. And yeah, from the away end, it was just like it was real head in hands stuff. You know, that feeling where it's a feeling where I thought we had conceded on maybe at least 2, maybe 3 separate occasions. Like they've scored.
Yeah. That's good.
Almost it's like resignation. You're just like your heart is beating out of your chest because you're just like, what the hell?
You see the ball go beyond Eastwood. You see a blue shirt. You're like, that's a goal. Yeah.
Well, even when they hit the bar, it just like from the away end, it just pinged back down on a diag, and you're like, oh my god, like anyone is going to touch this. Just please get rid. Yeah, it was a weird moment. I mean, back to analysing it a bit, wasn't a great sequence for Jake Eastwood, I would say. He got a bit stuck under the ball and looked a bit flappy and a bit concerned and looked like he'd lost a bit of composure, and it was slightly alarming. Just looked a little bit like head loss, to be honest. Slightly worrying after the Gillingham game, where obviously terrific penalty save in a game where he had played really well, and then a role in the goal that Gillingham scored. So hopefully just a bit of a blip. We did withstand it. I mean, how the guys missed the header, I have no idea. Literally no idea, because he is like underneath the crossbar. So I've got no clue. I mean, it was slightly above him, and he headed
I'd love to weigh in, but I also have no idea how he's missed it. I can't remember which opportunity it was, if it was that one or the one that hit the bar before it. But I was reading online, some Chesterfield fans believe that Eastwood kind of got his fingertips to the ball that came in and did just enough to put it off. So it could have been that one. I
think that, I mean, obviously
it's not obvious from the highlights.
Before the guy heads it over the bar, and Eastwood gets a big old palm on it, right? And that's what kind of spoons it up to him. But it's all a bit, I don't know. It was look, I still think we were good for the win in the sense that if you go away somewhere like that, I don't think you're expecting to have a complete shutout. Like what we did up at Salford was extremely unusual, to like restrict a team to no opportunities at all during an entire football match. And look, you know, for your bullishness meter, you need a bit of luck. Like maybe we got a bit of luck in that moment that, you know, the crossbar bailed us out, and then your man on the goal line decided that put it over the bar.
Didn't want his goal bonus. Yeah.
It was supposed to stay in League Two forever, basically. It's a very League Two sequence of events. So,
well, it felt like those few minutes and those opportunities kind of sort of sparked the game to life, and actually it, you know, led to us scoring it. It started as a counter-attack. It started as defending. Some great head tennis in the initial stages of the goal.
No, it's just great. Tom Walker obviously saw that and thought, yeah, I can probably go down to the concourse now.
Just on the goal, it's a brilliant goal, I think. The move to get up pitch, you know, the Brophy run, the pass to McLovin. I think it's a lovely goal. Lovely goal.
Yeah, I mean, we were down the opposite end, obviously, to the counter attack. Brophy's out wide. We've done well to sort of, you know, string those headers together. Good example of, I guess, just being competitive in that centre midfield department. So we won all 3 of the headers, and that sparked the move. Brophy obviously had it out on the right wing on his right foot, and I was screaming at him like, early right, just use your right foot. I was like, use your right foot.
I was the same. I was watching with
we had people queuing up.
I was watching with Mrs. Warland, and when Brophy cut in, I was like, he always does this. He slows it down. What's he done?
I was like, please use your right foot. Anyway,
the run from McLovin is brilliant. Yeah, and I watched his interview afterwards, and he's like, you know, I know Brophy likes to come inside, so I thought I'll just chance it and I'll give him that option. But yeah, great run, lovely little weight to the pass, and a really tidy finish from quite a tight angle.
It's a great finish. I mean, again, the angles from that away end, no idea, frankly. Also really looked like the covering defender was going to clear it from the away end. We were like, is that going in? So it's one of those.
Well, it looks like that on the replays as well.
Yeah. it's like one of those where you get a goal. Some goals are really obvious and you celebrate, and the celebration in the way end is like immediate. This was a bit of a like, it just took a moment to percolate, and I was like, has he scored? Yeah, he has. Okay, great. No, it's like really good ball from Brophy. The run is great. It's great to see a counter-attacking goal anyway. McLovin's finish is really good, like proper, like quality little dink. I just feel like we don't get much of that composure at this level where you see such sort of calm finishing like that. So good performance from McLaughlin and really good finish. So just great to see.
Just a quick word on our passing game on Monday night. You know, the passes involved in the goal were terrific, but especially second half, I think we moved the ball around really well. Like we kept it for long periods, playing around deep. It was really excellent.
Yeah, same thing I think we've been saying for weeks now is like the change that I think has happened, or the main change that I've sort of observed in my non-badges position. It's just that we're moving the ball faster. We have increased the tempo of our football. I feel like we really noticed it ever since that Barrow game. We are just playing football, not even massively faster, 10% faster, a bit more courage, slightly fewer touches, sort of set up a pass and just moving it all a bit quicker. I think one of the keys to that for us against Chesterfield was Mpanzu up in that, in behind the strikers. I thought that's his best performance for United. I thought he was absolutely terrific. Like
some of his movement and his runs, it was just pulling him out of position. Like people had to go with him. It was really clever to watch.
Yeah, just it was all of that intelligence, work rate, which has been a question mark for him. Just because I think he's not the fastest guy, so sometimes gets kind of assimilated, I think, with work rate. But really hard working. It was kind of, because he's played for us fairly defensive midfield position before. It's kind of like having a defensive midfielder, but he's up on the edge of their third of the pitch. He's sort of breaking up play and applying pressure in a really intelligent way. And he's good with the ball at his feet. So once he gets the ball, he uses the ball really well. Not even necessarily flashy stuff, but just finding really easy, good passes that progress us high up the pitch with a huge amount of composure. He's also just quite strong. Like he seems quite hard to move off the ball. I just thought we saw all of the best of Mpanzu in that performance against Chesterfield. There were tons of people to pick from, but I thought he was our man of the match. I thought he was just like a cut above. It was all the way at the end when we were keeping the ball in the corner by the away end, and the ease with which he played it off their player to win the corner just to while another minute off the clock was just like, he just looked so cash. He just like literally just like super relaxed, just dinged it off the guy. And he nearly did it a second time, which would have been absolutely amazing. It's the sort of stuff you're in the away and celebrating almost like a goal. It's like blokes just won a corner right in front of the away end in the 93rd minute of the game. The atmosphere was pretty good. But yeah, and Pansy was brilliant. I think he was kind of the heartbeat of that passing football that we were trying to play. I thought Adam Mayer was really good, obviously, before Pop.
That's where I wanted to come to next. There's obviously a lot of positives from Monday night. The big negative, though, injury just before halftime to Adam Mayer. Hamstring confirmed post match. The quote from Harris is "not quick." Another hammy, Matt. Another hammy. How big a loss is this going to be? It's been my player of the year so far. So I'm devastated that he's going to be out for a little while.
Yeah, it's not great. Of all the people, he's probably the last person you would choose, even though he's a loan signing. He has been absolutely tremendous, Mayer. Pretty consistent as well. I think he's had one or two quiet games. He's only quiet by his own standards, where in most of the games he's played, he's been like a central figure in almost everything good that we're doing. So you can't understate how much we will miss him. Obviously, hopefully for his sake, it's a quick enough recovery from that hamstring injury. It's something our medical department should be pretty good at dealing with now, I would say. I did say to Jules during the game, I feel like we should donate our team to medical science so they can understand what is happening to all these hamstrings and they've ever known anything like this. No hamstring injury, I think, is going to be a quick to recover from. Just got to hope again, like same thing we were saying before, though, we've passed so many tests already this season, particularly with personnel and injuries and creating opportunities for other people. So I think we just got to try and find a positive out of this and say, look, it will give somebody else an opportunity. It's quite assuring in a way. Like, obviously, it's really a shame to see him go down, but the fact we were able to bring on Sully Kai is like, that's a sign of a well put together squad. It's not like we're scrabbling around to bring a youth player on. Like, we're bringing on a very seasoned professional with hundreds of Football League appearances. And Kai played quite well when he came on. So it's like,
yeah,
whilst it is a shame, there's two things in our favour. One is that we are reasonably well stocked in sort of attacking midfielders, at least. Obviously, Mayer's been playing a bit of a wing back role as well, so we're fairly well stocked there. And then the second is that the window is about to open, so we at least have an opportunity to go and address it. If we find that he's out for some months, and we probably would be shopping for a winger anyway, was my feeling. Obviously, we're going to cover that in more detail on a specific pod. But yeah, it's just a shame. It's a shame for him and for us. Like, he will have been enjoying playing regular first team football in a reasonably successful side. It's good for his own profile that he's getting that exposure. So hopefully he comes back and he's able to make an impact later in the season.
Hey mate, getting back for the run-in, it could be the differential. But yeah, I think you're right. We've got, you've got Brophy, who can go left wing back. Bradshaw hopefully isn't that far off a return, though. I can't remember what his timeline was. If he wants to rejig things because of this, can go to the 4-2-3-1. And like you say, we've got plenty of options that can be in those sort of attacking midfielders there. So he'll be a big miss for sure. But hopefully the blow is lessened given the few options that we have. Lots of positives from Monday night. An interesting take that I wanted your opinion on. I read from Dylan on the message board. Neil Harris might be scared of 2-0 because it's the most dangerous scoreline in football. That's one from your mind, from your way of thinking, right? 2-0 is a result to be avoided.
That's it. 2-0 is too dangerous, so keep it at 1-0.
And that must be what Lavery was thinking, right? Because he had two glorious chances to put it to bed and make it a lot easier.
I'm actually going to say he had more. I'm going to say he had more, genuinely, not specifically him, but the first opportunity I think he actually had was when we were on that breakaway and Brophy was off to his right, and he just couldn't get the ball out from under his feet to feed Brophy properly, basically, because Brophy basically would have scored. If that's well served up, I think Brophy scores for sure. To be honest, it was a difficult cameo for Lavery, I would say. Nothing went right for him. It wasn't very good. I just think he's got tons of credit in the bank, which is good for him and useful. Because if that had been, it's not saying at Chesterfield, if that had been Kachunga who come on and done all that stuff,
oh yeah,
it would have been a riot in that away end. Look, you give him a pass on this one because he has given us a fair amount, and we know that he's not fully fit. But it is a bit of a concern how, I guess, blunt lack of sharpness that he had. Notwithstanding the fact that I think some of the chances that look quite presentable, nothing quite sat properly. Like, none of the final balls to him, I think, were quite perfect. So there was a lot of work for him to do in all the situations that he ended up in. But you do just feel like a fully fit, fully sharp Lavery finds a way to get one of those opportunities. He makes a goal or he scores a goal and the game is wrapped up. But 2-0, dangerous scoreline. So more fun to win games 1-0 anyway, because it keeps you very nervous all the way to the final whistle.
I'm saying it now. Lavery's going to bag on New Year's Day. That's my prediction. That's my prediction. We're going to talk about Walsall more in a second, but before we do that, Caspel, let's find out a little bit more about our opponents from our fan preview interview. Right then, news fans, time to find out a little bit more about our visitors on New Year's Day. Representing Walsall from the Yellow Ribbon podcast, we have Rob. Rob, thank you for finding the time to chat to us.
That's quite all right. Looking forward to it. I'm, as we've just said before hitting record, I'm looking forward to the game as well. But glad to come on.
At the time of speaking, you've slipped down to second, but you were top for a fair
Third,
while.
with
Oh, you're third.
third,
Oh,
with
mate,
third. Yeah, I know.
I'm doing you an over justice in second. But
Well,
you
we're
were
level on points, so we'll go on that.
but you were top for quite a while. Despite the disappointment of slipping down to third, how would you rate the season so far for Walsall?
If you were to look at our fan base's reaction after the game against Oldham, you'd assume that we were in the relegation zone for portions of it. I think, given last season, given the way that we ended last season, to be in the top three at the end of 2025, I didn't expect it. And I think we sometimes just need to take a step away and look at where we all thought we'd be at this point of the season and where we actually are, and acknowledge that, look, the club are doing well. There's clear things that we need to do in January, as there will be for the other 23 clubs. I'm sure you agree with that. You know exactly where Cambridge will need to strengthen. We need to develop a bit of a plan B, but generally, I don't think anyone can complain where we are going into the new year after what, 22, 23 games. I don't actually know what we are on.
At least you know your league position.
Yeah,
You talked a little bit about expectations then, and you weren't expecting this, but what was the general sort of consensus going into the season for Walsall expectations? Was it to be in the promotion picture at least?
it was, I'll be honest, it was really mixed because me personally, the last time we were in a playoff campaign, we saw a real high churn in the squad. Next season, we finished mid-table, and that effectively started the decline that saw us drop into League Two and down the bottom reaches of League Two. So I had this fear that that's what was going to happen this season. It's happened before. We've seen it before. We know the script. I think anyone who said that we would be competing again in the top three, if they say that now, didn't think it pre-season. I would say the hopes and ambitions were to be in and around the playoffs again. Of course, if you are there, then yes, you can be looking at the top three. But I don't think, given the number of players that left and the way that we ended, I'm not sure realistically people can say, yeah, the aim was definitely top three again.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about Monday night then. I don't know if you've looked at Cambridge's home form. It's pretty decent, but we've lost once at home and it was to Oldham. And here we are talking about Oldham going to Walsall and winning. So yeah, what was the story on Monday night for you guys?
We just didn't really get going. I think it was one of those performances where, in hindsight, he probably could have rotated the squad more. But if you rotate the squad more and don't win, you sat here going, we should have kept more of the same players. So it's that time of year. It throws up a few results, a few lackluster performances. The frustrating thing was we were done by two corners, and our set pieces have been really solid this season. So that was the frustration. We just looked a bit leggy. I can see a couple more changes coming for the game against yourselves on whatever day of the week it is, because no one really knows what day of the week it is at the moment.
I had to desperately check last night's result that it was a Monday, but yeah. Do you have the squad then to do much rotation, like ahead of our game on New Year's Day? Do you have the quality in depth that you can sort of swap things around, or is it a little bit tight?
We will be enforced into a change in the back three because Priestley Farquharson suffered it was quite vague post-match, and by the time we are recording this now, there's not really been time for a proper update, but he required stitches and sort of around the eye. So they're obviously going to leave him out probably for this game and maybe the fourth, I'd imagine, but he'll probably wear a face shield beyond that while it recovers. We've got options, yes. There are a few players that will definitely be playing, but we've got a couple of options potentially at wing back. It depends whether we want to start Jamil Matt up front or give Aaron Presley the start. A couple of options in central midfield as well. We do. It's just how they get on, but that's
Yeah.
the nature of rotating your squad.
Tell me a little bit more about the formation then. So you mentioned back three, you mentioned wing backs. Yeah, what's the rest of the normal formation? And within that formation, what key names would you say to Cambridge fans to keep an eye on as potential, influencers in a result on New Year's Day?
So we religiously play 3-5-2.
Hmm.
We don't like having possession, which often gives the illusion that we aren't a particularly good team. But what we do is we restrict teams and then hit on the counter. I'm pretty sure we are still the lowest ranked team in the league for possession, which I'm just looking up now. Yes, we are by some distance. We've averaged 39.1% possession, and the next lowest is Barrow on 43.7. So a good 4% difference tells you everything you need to know, which yourselves are at 48.9. And I don't know whether you like being a possession-based team or not, but you can see the difference between sort of how far down we are without the ball.
Hmm.
The key players are Daniel Kanu up front. He scored a goal out of nothing on Monday. Fantastic finish with his weaker foot, which I don't know what foot he is, but he's on loan from Charlton.
Hmm.
So who knows whether he will still be there on Thursday.
Okay, so last year was a big deal, right? With loan players going back in January for you guys. Have you not learned the lesson from that?
Well, it was the third season in a row that we lost our top scorer in January because they were on loan. So it could be four. The problem is, and this isn't a dig at either of our clubs, we're in League Two.
Hmm.
If you want players on loan who can score double digits as a striker, you're probably not going to be able to buy them because another club will have them. We know our position. Well, I say we do. The club know their position. I'm sure it's the same for yourselves. If you get a real talent come through on loan, the likelihood is they will be off potentially back to their parent club in January. For me, it's better to have loved and lost than be sat here going, our top scorer's on 5 goals for the season because we bought them instead of signed them on loan. Other key players at the back, Aidan Flint is an absolute man mountain and a rock. If you play long ball to him, he will mop it up in the air. So I'm really hoping that's what you try and do. Other key players, like I said, our wing backs do press on quite high. So although they didn't really get at it against Oldham, Connor Barrett, Vinny Harper or Jidakeke, any of the three of them on their day will be potentially rotated in and out and all can perform. And there's a real division in performances for Courtney Clark in midfield. If he starts, he seems to struggle. But if he comes off the bench in the second half, he seems to really influence games. I think where other teams may tire, he very much likes to get on the ball and drive. So if he doesn't start but comes off the bench, I think you'll notice the impacts that he brings.
Good stuff. You mentioned wing backs there. Are you looking forward to seeing Liam Bennett again?
Yes and no. I'd like to see him in the stands. Look, we love Liam. We interviewed Liam in the summer after he'd been recalled by you in the January.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you've ever spoken to him or met him. He's a fantastic young man. He spoke, I mean, this is going back a couple of years, so he was probably only about 19 at the time. He spoke incredibly well. He was a joy to have on the pod. We have a lot of time and respect for Liam.
Good stuff. He was one of my man of the matches on Monday night. So hopefully another good performance on New Year's Day. Right, last question, Rob. How do you see New Year's Day panning out in terms of performance and style of game? And then can you give me a score prediction as well?
Well, my score predictions are always terrible, so I can, but I don't know how good it will be. We're both similar defense-wise. We're both up there as two of the league's tighter defenses. I can see it being a 1-0 or potentially a 2-1. I think it will be close. I know it's a cliche, but the first goal will really be important. We don't tend to drop points from winning positions. I'm not sure on yourselves, but equally, we are running into a habit of going in at halftime, a goal down, and there's only so often you can do that and still get results. So I do think if we can score and go 1-0 up by halftime, I would back us to at least come away with a point. Probably cursing it now. But equally, I know with how well your defense is doing that if you get one up, that it's going to be difficult to break you down. So I really do think first goal is incredibly important.
Good stuff.
So I'm going to go with 1-0, but I'm not going to say who to.
I'll take that as a Cambridge win. Rob, thank you so much, mate.
Yeah, I obviously predicted a Cambridge win. We'll go with.
Thank you very much to Rob from the Yellow Ribbon for talking to us there. A couple of key takeaways from that interview that I made a note of, Caspel. Walsall don't like having possession. During the interview, Rob went online and checked his stats live on the chat. And yeah, they've got something like an average of 39% possession this season. We are closer to 50%, so not bossing possession, but they are by far and away the lowest ranked team in terms of possession stats. What do you make of that? You know, they were top for a good number of weeks. They've dropped down to third after losing on Monday night to Oldham. Another scalp for Oldham there. How do you think that might impact New Year's Day for us? You know, they don't like having possession. Historically, Neil Harris teams don't like having possession, but we've seen a change in that, as we were talking about in the first part of this pod.
That's it. I think we've found a way to cope in those football matches where, you know, in the first couple of months of the season, it was reasonable to say where we were coming undone was exactly these situations where teams would allow us to have the ball, sit back in their own third. You know, I think the kids call it a low block these days. Not something
double pivot and all that. Yeah,
not something that existed when I was growing up. Just like soft tissue injuries, just really in vogue at the moment. But yeah, I just think we've found ways to solve these situations. Notwithstanding, obviously, Walsall is going to be a really tough game. They're the only team we've not played so far in League Two at the halfway point. Obviously, having played Chesterfield twice. This is just a huge test. It's tough. It's tough at this time of year to get majorly excited about the games. They come so thick and fast. You know, home game and then another home game 3 days later. But this is like our biggest game of the season so far.
I'm excited. Yeah, I agree. It definitely is. And I'm excited for it purely because, like we've said several times on this pod, not been blown away by any team that we've seen so far. The team that are currently top are a team that we beat at home. Swindon a second, and they didn't look any good when we played there. I know we lost, so I sound a bit hypocritical there, but I'm really intrigued to see what this team looks like in Walsall, because they were top for a good few number of weeks, and
this is it, and months last season as well. Obviously before it all fell apart. Yeah, I mean, this is it. This is like almost when you talk about unanswered questions. There's not many left for us this season, as we're getting to that point. If we play Walsall and they're bang average, even if they beat us, like say they do us 1-0, but we look at them like they don't seem great either, then that is officially it. That is the starter's pistol on like there is nothing to fear in this entire division, because we have now played everybody and no one is any good. Like no one is looking at us, Cambridge, and going, oh, they're good. They're just like, all the Chesterfield feedback was like they seem really well organised, really functional, a bit like when Oldham came and beat us at ours. It was like, I was like, wow, they just seem really, they know what they're doing. They know exactly what their blueprint is. They're very well coached into their method and they've executed it perfectly against us, and they've done us for the points. I I don't mind. I don't mind being the best of a bad bunch,
Mhm.
and just being a low key Cambridge. Like, so this is it. Like, are Walsall actually any good? Are we going to see them? We're like, wow, they're really impressive. They're probably going to go on and win the league. Good for them. Or do we pass another test? Give ourselves a massive platform going into the transfer window, going into that home game against Grimsby, which you have to say should be winnable, feels quite winnable. They're not in good form. They're 15th as it stands in the table. Obviously, they're going to play also on New Year's Day themselves. So, yeah, I'm excited. This is our biggest game of the season, in my opinion. And the excitement there for me is that if we win this and we sort of push ourselves up, then that Grimsby game arguably then becomes our next biggest game of the season. And they start to get, this is the fun of being in around playoffs or automatics, even is just like the lockdown legends season. As you move into February and into March, the games just get bigger and bigger. Just trying to explain, during COVID to my wife why like Newport County away is like, this is massive. You just don't understand. It's just a huge game. They just get bigger and bigger. And this is like all the excitement of a promotion run. And it's worth pointing out at this point, we have the same number of points as we did with the lockdown legends at the same point of the season, 23 games, which is interesting.
It's good stats. It's good stats.
It's good numbers.
One of the other things that picked up in the fan interview is that Walsall do really well with teams that go long, that play the long ball. Obviously, Appere had a tricky couple of games recently in terms of sort of dominating people and having the ball stick to him. Do you think Neil Harris is going to try something a little bit different up top on New Year's Day? Do you think? I personally think we might see a Lavery start, maybe like a Lavery Appere, maybe like go 2 up top.
I think that's the only way I can fathom that kind of change is if it's a system change. That's not to say that I think Appere should retain his place. I just think, look at that Chesterfield game. It wasn't great for Appere. Obviously, he has that chance early on where he just doesn't shoot, even though from the away end perspective, it was like, what else? If you're not shooting there, then I'm not sure what you're going to do, frankly. And then there was a moment where he's offside, where maybe he wasn't offside, but he just dinked it into keeper's hands. So, and then obviously back to Gillingham, the sort of non-penalty, in my opinion, where he probably should have just got a shot away.
Definite penalty, mate.
I was right there. I was freezing my balls off, but I was right next to it, and I just thought, like, there's
You've
a
not
way.
Changed your mind since seeing it back?
No, absolutely not. There's that penalty for me, non-penalty for me at Gillingham is like, there's a way of just making all that debate go away, which is just like be a predatory striker and score the goal, and then there is no debate over who's doing what. Like, you've scored, so don't give yourself an opportunity to not score for the sake of trying to win a penalty. Anyway, that's reviewing a whole other football match. Appere, where were we? Appere starting. What do we do? 4-4-2. I mean, I think.
What do you think? What would you do? / what do you think he might do? Like, do you think he might? Because surely you don't change it. Surely, if the wing backs and 3 at the back is working so well, you maybe find someone like Brophy to go play wing back and you mix it up that way. But I think there are other options there.
I think Brophy will, if it's 5 or 3 or 5 at the back, there's a wing back shout, then it will be Brophy that slots into the Mayor role, would be the expectation. Which is a shame because Brophy's looked pretty potent high up the pitch last couple of games. So you will lose something by doing that. So there's a world where it could be Gibbons, I suppose. Just get him to do another sort of role that he's not necessarily acquainted with. He seems like a hard-working pro, so he finds a way to make that work. I think it has to be a 2, but I wonder if Lavery is fit and or sharp enough for it based on his cameo up at Chesterfield. Do you rob yourself of options by starting both your strikers, your only strikers, in that game? What happens if the game isn't going how you want it to, and they're both already on the pitch, and Lavery only has 45 minutes or an hour in the tank, and you're forced to shuffle a pack and arguably weaken your outlook? Are we better off? Yeah, kind of copy and paste the blueprint from the last 2. Appere is there's criticisms to be made, but he's definitely hardworking. Like, definitely tries to imprint himself on those defenders and, give them a bit of a run around. I would like for him to be more physical and to leave, a bit more of the Joe Ironside mold of like, if you're not winning the ball, leave something on the guys, frankly, like leave a mark, like make them know that they've been in a game. He should be there to rough them up so you can bring Lavery on for 20 or 30 minutes and Lavery's going at sort of beaten up, tiring defense and just finding little pockets and opportunities like he did at Chesterfield. So even though we say Lavery not so sharp, he did get himself in some really presentable situations in his cameo at Chesterfield.
Yeah, I guess my thinking is, if Walsall don't like possession, they want to play on the counter. If you play your stronger strike force and you get ahead in a game, you're forcing them to think about their plan B.
I'm with you. I'm totally with you on that as well. And I often think when we have players where there's a fitness or a durability concern, like you do with Lavery, you are arguably better off starting them in games for exactly that reason, which is like put your best 11 on the pitch, get your lead, defend your lead, protect your assets in Lavery. Yeah.
What I do think is more likely, if Walsall don't like possession, I think New Year's Day could be a day for someone like Ben Knight, someone who likes to have the ball, maybe get him and Pelly Ruddock closer to Appare. That might be something more likely, I think. So that's my inkling.
Okay. I mean, we know obviously Mayer, we don't have the press conference, but reasonable to assume that Mayer we might not see anytime soon. So we know there's going to be one force change anyway. I think logically it probably will be Kai, and that the shuffle of the pack will just be the team that ended the first half. That is the shuffled pack with Kai coming in. Again, maybe you look at Knight and you think, can he make a bigger impact in a 30-minute burst coming off the bench than he will necessarily starting as one of the best teams in the division? So the answer is I don't know. I'm interested.
What about a score prediction? How do you think it's going to go New Year's Day?
I think something weird's going to happen in these two games. By weird, I mean, and I'm staying optimistic, I think we're going to take 4 points from the two.
Nice.
I sort of weirdly think maybe we're going to beat Walsall, but then draw against Grimsby. It's going to be a sort of, we've beaten Walsall and everyone's going to be like, fucking A, we're fourth or whatever. And we're, you know what I mean? Like we're about to crash the automatics. And then at some point, there's going to be some kind of, I mean, it wouldn't be too bad. Basically, as long as we take 4 points in these two games, I'm kind of relaxed. Obviously, logically, you would like to take 3 off Walsall because they are around us. But it doesn't have to be that way. So honestly, if one of them is like a grubby 0-0, like if we draw with Walsall 0-0, and then we go and beat Grimsby, that is fine. What do I think is going to happen? I predicted the win against Chesterfield.
Oh, nice.
On Moosenet. Wasn't enough for me, however, but to get promoted. But, you know, we move. I think we'll win 1-0. Why not?
I think it's one goal in it. Like they don't score a lot, we don't score a lot. Yeah, I'm going 1-0 as well. Let's do it. Back
clean
to back,
sheets.
1-0s.
Clean sheets are a platform. I've got Pelly as the goal scorer already dialed in.
Well, famously, last time we played Walsall at home in the lockdown legend season, 1-0. If you remember that one.
I do, sort of. You had to remind me. I mean, I remember
very, very famous afternoon from that season, mate. The last minute Paul Mullin whack from outside the box.
I just got it confused with the Kyle Noyle last minute whack from outside the box. We scored a lot of late long range winners that season, so we were truly privileged. And again, we're on the same points tally now as we were then, so it's definitely happening again. We just need to go and sign who's this Windows version of Hiram Boateng, basically. Who's going to come and like push us on?
It's Mullin, isn't it? Mullin's coming back. That's what you want to hear.
Would it be good? I don't know if it'd be good.
No, probably.
Remember when John Taylor, when he came back to playing when he was like 42? Your mate John Taylor, sorry, Shaggy,
yeah.
That wasn't good, was it?
Or when Barry Core came back, sort of the last time, he didn't really play, did he?
No, not so much. I mean, obviously Mullin will probably be more available than that. We're just obsessed as a fan base, but always looking back. Get Kwesi back.
So I'm convinced that Kwesi signed when he was here for the Hall of Fame. I saw the smiles of him on the pitch, him holding a bit of paper. Some people say that bit of paper was a certificate saying Hall of Fame. I'm pretty sure it's a contract. So watch this
Right.
space for 1st of Jan. Uche scoring at scoring
AFCON, mate. There are
AFCON,
other
yeah.
footballers. You've got to realise there are other footballers, including players who haven't played for us before.
Nah, not interested. Not interested.
Like, is it a good window if we sign Will Norris and Kwesi?
We should vaguely touch on the fact that we also then play Grimsby. We're not sure if we'll have another pod between now and
Yeah,
then.
we're not sure if we're allowed to preview it or not.
If we smash Walsall, I assume we'll do another pod. But if we lose or it's a really drab 0-0, which is possible, you won't get another pod. But there's loads of pods out at the moment. This one obviously, Goochmas Part 1, the end of year quiz. I've not listened to the quiz yet, Matt. Am I missing out? Probably missing out, aren't I?
I'd say you're missing out.
Okay, good stuff.
You're missing out.
There's the special with Shaggy that you've alluded to. So lots of pods
Great.
that you can catch up on. Any thoughts on vaguely touching the Grimsby game? I feel like I agree with that 4 points from the two games. Grimsby bang out of form. Hopefully that continues.
Yeah, I mean, it's strange with Grimsby, and I'll say this again. I'll put both hands up, and I've said this on the pod time and time again. I don't really pay that much attention to any other football. I actually said in the car on the way back from Chesterfield, I don't think I'm a football fan. I think I'm just a Cambridge United fan. Like, I really don't care. I really don't watch any TV football. I just don't care. So I had no idea Grimsby were that far down the table. I just assumed they were like somewhere up there, and they're not. They did beat Shrewsbury, which is probably not a big marker of quality, but they did beat Shrewsbury last time out. But before that, they had not won a league game since, still scrolling, they beat 9-man Gillingham in middle of October. So yeah, they really are in bad form, but they were fancied and they look pretty good when we went up to theirs. Obviously, famously not an easy place to go and do football anyway. And I'm going to assume that they are one of those teams you look at, you think, even though 15th feels quite ominous, we know in League Two well enough that if you are 15th and you have a good couple of games, you are suddenly 8th. So they should not be taken for granted. They obviously play Fleetwood away on New Year's Day. We don't yet know what has happened or what will happen in that fixture. So it'll be interesting to see how they deal with their first win in quite a while. Are they going to go to Fleetwood and back that up? And in which case they'll arrive to us with a bit of momentum. No idea, basically. So can't preview the squad. Prediction for that one, I got no idea. 4 points from the two, I'd be pretty happy with. Let's start by beating Walsall and give ourselves a chance for 6. If it is 6, that bullishness meter is going to be like, yeah, that's it. There's lift off at that point. I'm going to
once we start outperforming the lockdown legend point tally, that's when we'll be like, yeah, that's the stuff.
I mean, it's just because I see after that Birmingham Cup game, which, by the way, if we do get 6 points these 2 games, we're going to enter that FA Cup game with a serious amount of momentum as well. And it's that then presentable run of games with a squad that you've been able to bolster in the transfer window, potentially through to the 4th round of the FA Cup. Like, why not? Let's drink the Kool-Aid on that.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Kool-Aid, do you think we're going to sign someone before the Grimsby game? That was a little nugget pre-record starting. Have you changed your mind on that?
Before the Walsall game, I reckon.
They're all lined up, ready to go. Danny Naisbitt, all of that lot.
Do the Jimmy Spencer or whatever. This random bloke in squad that no one knows is there or how. Let's just see what happens. Let's get bullish. Why not?
Let's wrap it up there, Caspel. You and I might be seeing each other tomorrow to do a Coconut Tier pod.
Oh,
this is your reminder to sign up to the Coconut Tier. A mere £5 a month, you get at least one feature article every week. Bonus podcast content every month. Extended podcast content as well, such as the Shaggy interview. So yeah, go to undertheabbeystand.com for more information about that. Caspel 2026 is going to be the year that I finally try the Skepasti. That's available at number 1 Ferry Path, our sponsors and partners this year. the Old Spring pub. It's been a good pod, mate. It's been a good way to see out the year. Thank you for your insights, Caspel. But before you go, just confirm, did Tom Walker miss the goal at Chesterfield? Because we didn't actually black and white say that happened.
I just wanted to imply it, but I couldn't see him, and he had been stood very close to me. So I think there's a chance that he did. And to be honest, there was a lot of excitement when, with a few minutes to go in the half, he made his way down the stairs. People genuinely around me look at each other like, "Oh my god, he's gone!
It's happening! It's on!
He's gone! It's happening! It's going to happen!"
There's a sniff here. Great.
That's it. I think maybe he's just getting himself warmed up for FA Cup third round, where historically he's missed fairly important goals.
Good stuff. Right, thank you everyone. We will be back definitely post Grimsby, but maybe post Walsall. See you soon.